Well, hello. Nice to see you. Today we're going to talk about inversions. Inversions, we're going to get totally rad and upside down. Inversions refer to triads or seventh chords and how we voice them. We've learned up until now everything in what we refer to as root position, meaning the root of the chord is in the bottom. But life would be really boring if everything was in root position all the time, okay? So we're going to flip these around a little bit so that they sound a little more interesting. And when we invert something, we basically flip it. We just took the root and it went elsewhere, and now the lowest note we hear is the third of the chord. This is the root, third and fifth. The lowest note we hear is the third. We call this first inversion. It means now the third is on the bottom. The lowest note. Now we can take that same triad and we can put the fifth in the bottom. Whatever the lowest note is here, we call this second inversion. So, in a really basic way to see this, root position, first inversion, second inversion, and then we're back to root position, assuming there's no seventh in the chord. Okay, let's look at that in another key. Here's F. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. Now, this is a really basic way to think about this. It really doesn't matter what's going on up here. It matters what's happening down in the lowest voice. So let's keep this in the key of F. And I'm just going to play root position down here because the root is in the bass. My hand is just picking all the notes out of F major. Doesn't matter, okay? This is root position because this is the lowest note we heard. Now if we put the third as the lowest note we hear, it's a much different sound. It's got a little bit of, we're not totally settled right now, yeah? There could be something else happening, okay? It doesn't matter what's going on up here and how the chord is voiced. It matters what's in the lowest voice, okay? Now, if you put the fifth in the bass, we really hear a sense of something's not really settled yet. And that's because a lot of times this second inversion one chord, or whatever it happens to be, the second inversion chord really is what we like to refer to as a suspension. We call this, let's see, oftentimes a 5 sus, or a second inversion chord, okay? But don't stress too much about that right now. What you need to do just to kind of get this under your hands is to basically just go up and keep inverting them. Now, I've taught this so many years that I know what some people are going to do. They're going to go like this. This is not correct. You have to think a little bit more deeply about it. 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 3, and then we're back to root position. Okay, so root position, first inversion, second inversion, and we're back to 1. Now, if we're talking about seventh chords, that adds one more inversion. So we've got root, first, second, and when you have a seventh chord, then we call that third inversion. So, C major seventh, root position. C major seventh, first inversion. C major 7, second inversion. And C major 7, third inversion. Lots of tension in that chord, yeah? Oftentimes these are not the way that they're totally voiced. This is just for you to kind of understand and get a grip on this. Now, same with other qualities. C7, root position. C7, first inversion. C7 second inversion, C7 third inversion. And you see this a lot, especially in Bach, because we always want to resolve through the line of force, and this would be C7 moving to F. And then we're back to root. And minor 7 is the same deal. C minor 7, root position. C minor 7, first inversion. C minor 7, second inversion. C minor 7, third inversion. So it may take your hand a little bit of time to recognize and get to feel your way through this, but with all the work that you've been doing up until now, this should start getting easier if you're working on it pretty much every day. So your job is to basically go through all of these chords, major and minor, major 7th, minor 7th, dominant 7th, and just play them in inversions. And it might be easier for you to arpeggiate them, and that's okay. Finding them all at once, if you're coming into this class without any piano experience, can be kind of a challenge, and that's totally fine. But the more you geek out on this, the more these chord tones will become something that you don't have to think about, that you can just rattle off and find. If this is easy for you, another way to find your way around here is to practice with your eyes closed. Might sound a little nightmarish, but really is actually an incredible practice to do this with your eyes closed. So there you go. Happy practicing, and get inverted.